All right, game number 4, we have King Hunter. He's back and he's playing with the black pieces in this game. So let's see your game, King Hunter, here. What is happening? Okay, this opening looks familiar to me, and here you play knight c6. I want to give you a tip. I actually talk about this in my video series on chess 24. Whole repertoire against knight f3 and c4, and this is the move I recommend. Why? If white now plays like he did in the game with d4, now you can take and play e5, and the difference is white cannot trade the knights on c6, and he has to lose another move, like play knight b3, and then you can play bishop e7 or bishop e6, and you're gonna be fine here. Really, white doesn't have anything here. You can look at some lines, but really white doesn't have anything here. So this is very comfortable. So I think e6 is a smart way to play this position. Knight c6 is fine, but to me these positions are a bit tricky because now we have a green feld reversed. White has an extra tempo and he has some pressure here, as you also noticed in the game, I'm sure. Here you play queen d7, which is possible. Main line is rook c8. But yeah, you're just fighting for a draw here. White wins a pawn like this, and you have to fight for a draw. Probably you can get it because you're active enough here, but this is no fun, right? I mean, out of the opening, getting straight into an endgame where you have to defend for the rest of the game to get a draw. Not my cup of tea for sure, and probably not yours either. So openings are important, and you need to know what you're doing there to not get into worse position early on. So queen d7 is what you played. Queen a4, here you should just transpose with rook c8. This would be your best shot, but you went h6. Your opponent didn't really capitalize on this, and it turns out you get into an endgame where you are okay. More than okay, actually. Here seems pretty fine. Bishop c5 I wasn't really sure about. I wouldn't necessarily put the bishop on c5. Just doesn't feel right, because you need to use the c file later on. It's the only open file in the position, so you want to use this later on. So bishop b4 seems a little bit more logical for me. Also winning a tempo on the knight, and then castle d4, and okay. I think position is about balance. You have the nice center, but white also has this trumps. He can maybe go rook c1 right now, occupy c file. Interesting position. I would prefer black a little bit maybe because of the more space, but yeah, about balance. Bishop c5, h3. So let's see this one. I think here you play sensible moves. I like all of this, what you're doing here. All of this is great stuff. But here, critical moment, important moment. Okay. Look, you have an active rook, great rook on c2. Your opponent's rook is passive. It's on d2, it's not in the open file, it's just defending. So don't trade this rook. It's not a good trade. You're trading a good rook against a bad rook. Just get back, drop back to c7. Okay, you control the c file. And also, it gives you more chances. If you trade rooks, you have much less potential to win this game. The pawns are equal, and with only minor pieces, there's just not that much going on. After trading rooks, the position becomes completely equal. It's a different story that you still get a winning position then. But here, there's much more potential, much more chances for your opponent to go wrong, right? So this looks attractive. If rook d1, that's what I'm thinking right now, to play rook to c1. Okay, here just for fun, you could repeat moves once to show your opponent who's boss. Always a good psychological technique. But then, of course, you would want to play on. And one move I'm looking at here is bishop f5, with the idea of the rook c1, that you can just take and win a piece. So bishop f5 would be a prophylactic move here to not allow rook c1. And if you place knight d2, then again you can think about rook c2, right? And you have options here. There are things to consider. Knight c4, now bishop c7 maybe. The rook is unpleasant on c2 for your opponent for sure. Okay, so just for you to consider some things here. I'm not sure, maybe even play more active bishop b4, but those are details. I mean, the main point I want to make here is don't trade your good active piece against a passive piece. That's all. Okay, and also in an endgame where there's not that much potential left to do something, be careful of every piece trade, especially rooks. Okay, takes, and now this all is very logical. You have a little bit of something here because you have a better pawn structure, but shouldn't be enough. But the opponent goes astray and you win a pawn. Nicely done. And now suddenly, of course, you have good winning chances. Here though, what you do is possible, but why? There's no need, right? You play f5, e4 now. Bring the king first, bring the king. It's about time to bring the king. Okay, you want a pawn? Now get the king closer. King f7, king e6. You can make pawn moves later on. You can make pawn moves later on. I wouldn't be afraid of e4, g4, any of that stuff. You are having enough potential in this position to win this position. There are enough pawns left on the board and no rush. Bring your king first. Why not? Because what happens in the game actually, suddenly you will have difficulties to get the king into the game. You play f5, king e2, again, king f7. Okay, bring the king. e4, and now your opponent goes g4, takes, bishop e6. Okay, we have a trade here, which I think is favorable for you because you have to connect the passed pawns here. Very nice. g5. Okay, you can play that. Again, could also consider bringing the king, but here bishop d5 would be a little bit awkward to me. So g5, okay, check. And here's what I'm saying, right? If your king was a little bit more active already, you wouldn't be like locked in right now. But okay, this is the situation now. And I think your position is about winning. But now you make some unfortunate moves. Unfortunately, you just help your opponent here. You just help your opponent with the next move. What you would need to do is play a5. I mean, your only problem here is your king. If you can get your king going and then can especially get these pawns going, you're gonna win, right? So first to play a5. So this is your only weakness in the position, this pawn. If your opponent can get to this pawn or annoy you by attacking it, then you might have some problems converting. But if you play a5, now bishop f5, bishop d6, now you go for this pawn. And if white trades the pawns, I think this position is just lost. You bring the king and you push the pawns. No, this should be lost for sure. But if white goes a4, here you can just go bishop e7 and then bishop d8, you defend the pawn like this. And here the bishop is perfectly placed because now you can push the pawns, right? You can push, can maybe bring the king if necessary. And the pawns supported by the bishops, yeah, should be winning here. So you play bishop to d6, a4 and bishop d1. Here again, same idea. Tap, 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 okay? Same idea, this is again valid. But you're helping your pawn, you're just attacking the pawn. And to me, there doesn't seem to be any upside, and there is probably none. This just seemed to be born out of a little bit of not having a plan, maybe cluelessness. I'll just attack the pawn, push the pawn forward, and then we'll see, right? But it's not helping. And here you play a6, after which you're not winning anymore. But already it's tricky because the problem is here that here you would need to get to whatever, right? To the 9th rank, to c9 to defend the pawn, but you can't. This is why you had to play a5 earlier, so you could keep the bishop and defend the pawn. Here you cannot defend it. That's why it wasn't a good idea to push the pawn forward. I think you still have chances, but this position will be tough to win because the bishop is so well placed here, locking the king in and also stopping any action here. I mean, you can try, but yeah, won't be easy. Maybe you can get something going, but tough. Earlier it was much easier to win before you allowed white to push the pawn to a5, and after a6 there's nothing you can do. Actually, you even have to be a little bit careful here that the white a pawn doesn't get too close, but yeah, turned out okay. It's a draw, and here you agreed to a draw. Unfortunate. But I think still this was a nicely played game. You had some problems in the opening, got under some pressure, but your opponent didn't exploit it. And then you kept on playing, kept on trying. First got an advantage with the rooks on, then gave it away. Got the advantage again with the extra pawn. And then just some details were missing there. Just some details and you would win this game, right? Some more precision around here to not allow this a5, a4, a5, push a5 yourself, and you would win this game. So you were close, and I think this was a decent game for sure. Okay, so what do I want you to take away? Well, for one, this exchange thing with the rooks. Don't exchange an active piece against a passive piece unless there's some other upside to it. Check your openings a little bit. This would be also a thing. And also, yeah, this endgame. Especially if there are not a lot of pawns left, like in this situation, you need to keep every single pawn. And yeah. And yeah, with the king, also bring the king. Bringing the king first before you play any pawn moves is, in most cases, the best solution. Okay? All right.